But this man lived many lives, and he has much to teach us. Of course, when he came to us, he was little more than a common thief, scrambling to survive on the streets of Baghdad, dreaming of a better future, not just for himself, but for all those suffering in the margins. These are the first words we are presented with in Mirage to describe Bassem ibn Isaac, and for the most part, they remain true throughout the story. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the first video of Taylor Talks, a channel that will occasionally do some game reviews if you want to call it that. However, in general, I shall just be yapping and talking a lot about games and video games because I tend to waffle a lot to my friends, and I figure why not just do that into a microphone. For this first video, I wanted to look at Assassin's Creed Mirage, a game I had not gotten the chance to play until recently, despite it being part of a franchise that I adore. We all know Assassin's Creed Shadows is right around the corner, and despite it looking cool to me thus far, it does have a lot of controversy surrounding it. Therefore, for the narrative of this video, I want to explore what makes Mirage unique, and if it should be the Assassin's Creed game to model future titles for the franchise. A quick introduction to the world of Mirage if you're unfamiliar with or have not had the opportunity yet to play the game. Mirage follows the story of Bassem ibn Isaac, a thief turned master assassin on the streets of 9th century Baghdad, preceding the events we saw in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Now, to minimize the spoilers for the ending of the game, I shall do a quick recap of the story and give my thoughts now, with a warning to you to skip forward in the video to the presenter time marker or use the timestamps in the description if I've managed to figure out how those work. We begin with some basic thieving to establish the character and the life of Bassem. We learned of his friend Nihal, who I have a lot of conflicting opinions on given her story throughout the game. But anyway, Bassem is looking to impress the hidden ones, who throughout the world of Baghdad clearly were not that hidden because every other person seemed to have known about them. However, that's okay. It's not like when the assassins officially became the assassins that they tried to remain subtle. So to impress Roseanne and the hidden ones, Bassem decides to pull off a great heist with his friend Nihal. Bassem breaks into a palace, tries to steal a chest with some ancient Isu technology, which the Order are looking for, the Order being the Templars. When he opens the chest, the artifact is revealed, he touches it, he sees visions, and then he has to stab the Khalifa because he's caught, and then all hell breaks loose. He sees many of his old friends killed because of his actions and is then forced to flee to Alamut, where he begins his training to become an assassin. Now, throughout the rest of the game, you begin to liberate Baghdad, unveiling the Order, assassinating them, but throughout all of this, Bassem is plagued by a jinni. He cannot sleep, he's scared, he's losing his mind a bit, and it prevents him from finding peace. Now, this is where I basically spoiled the ending of the game, so you've been warned again. But Bassem finds out he's some sort of key connected to the old world, and many answers lie beneath Alamut. He is upset that this information was upheld from him and sets after the answers he desires, claiming multiple times that nothing will get in the way. Now, this is the first point we see a dark side to Bassem, a selfish side. Not the same side that just wants to help people, the side that we were introduced to at the beginning of the game. To be honest, it's not a nice feeling to watch because you feel like you're playing the bad guy after spending so much of the game with moral superiority. This is why I believe it was written very well, because it gives you this uneasy feeling. Going to Alamut, the castle is attacked, many of your brothers are killed, and now Bassem has one final step, getting into the vault. Now, to be honest, this part of the story let me down. I felt that the ending was a bit rushed and made up like 80% of the story, and there was no real combat challenge. The boss fight was incredibly easy to go against Roseanne, and the plot twist with Nihal I saw from a mile away. While I might be exaggerating, to be specific, I figured it out when she disappeared by the river. When Bassem arrived, it all began to click at that point. This is because Nihal as a character was too fishy, always being where she needed to be, always acting as this inner voice of Bassem, guiding him, conflicting with his duties with the assassins. It didn't feel too natural. Therefore, we all discovered that Nihal isn't real, at least not for everyone else. And Bassem gains the knowledge that he seeked, slowly leading to the actions we saw in Valhalla. Now, when I say I didn't enjoy the ending, I must admit I enjoyed the whole sequence leading up to it. Alamut being attacked, the fire, everything. It was a really cool sequence to see. And Mirage, to be fair, had a lot of these set pieces and sequences where even if it's just a little bit of a story, characters talking, guards are chasing you, it was really cool to see. And I think Assassin's Creed should build more of these events into their future games. So yeah, that's my breakdown of the story. In general, I thought it was very unevenly distributed. However, I think it's a great concept for future AC games. Instead of having every character we play access through the Animus and being accompanied by a modern day story, let's just tell their stories. Because don't get me wrong, I love a good modern day. It's been terrible since Desmond's saga concluded. So I think there's a lot of positives to having these shorter narrative driven stories where every member of the Order is accompanied by a cutscene and we aren't bombarded with 1,000 side missions to do fetch quests and other rubbish. I really do believe that this is the formula Assassin's Creed should consider pursuing for future games. Let's just talk about Baghdad. The world was amazing. The city, the round city, the different districts, I absolutely loved it. It was amazing to be back in a dense city again where you can do parkour and traversal, and there's so much life in the streets with the merchants and everybody walking around. The world really came to life with vibrant colors reminiscent of AC Revelations, and there are so many throwbacks to early Assassin's Creed games, including a notoriety system where you can tear down posters or bribe heralds. It was just all really good to see. Also, looking at old game systems, you could hire people again, such as fighters or people just to walk with you. And I was hit with a wave of nostalgia looking back at games like AC2. The benefits of having basically one large city are seen with amazing details throughout the world, making it really feel like it comes to life. The crowd density is perfect. I think these were used to good effect, although it did really hinder performance on my Xbox. It was Xbox Series X, and if there were too many people, performance suffered a lot. I don't know if I was doing something wrong with my settings or whatever, but I was quite surprised that the game didn't run that well when there were lots of people around. But yes, Baghdad was perfect, and I love these massive cities. I loved when we were in Paris. I loved London from Syndicate. In any city where it's kind of brought to life in this way with lovely graphics and there's a hustle and a bustle around, it's amazing. And I think that this is really what Assassin's Creed should focus on. Because don't get me wrong, during the RPG games there were some cool cities. Well, not in Valhalla, there was like nothing there, but you had Alexandria in Assassin's Creed Origins, but it's just not the same as having this one big lovely city that you basically spend all of your time in. Moving on to Parkour. Parkour tries to improve on the systems of the RPG games. Although animations are quicker than Valhalla, parkour routes are more abundant and there are new tricks added to exploit. I was left feeling a bit lacking. Maybe it's because I'm comparing too much to the older games, but the modern parkour system is simply too direct in its approach to work in a condensed city, lacking the precision and finesse of, say, AC2, or even, as everyone would say, Assassin's Creed Unity. It raises concerns for me with Assassin's Creed Shadows, which although looks promising, it looks much better actually, it might still end up feeling heavy and lackluster, but I'll have to wait and see and withhold my judgments until then. Moving on to stealth, we had much better social stealth with crowd blending and benches and places to hide and all sorts of things. The stealth was much better than the previous couple games. We did have some missions with opportunities to use stealth perfectly. You could hire people, you could hide in bushes, do all sorts, and in those scenarios I think it worked perfectly. It was way more fun to do than to just barge in, kill everybody instantly with an axe and then run away. I must say the AI was a bit disappointing. I did run the default settings, the assassin settings, the one that it says this is the way the game should be experienced. It felt a bit too easy in terms of detection. A stark contrast of complaints many had with Valhalla, but I do feel like the AI should have been more quick to spot me, because I could just hear the little warning signal that they give you with the audio, and then I could quickly duck away. Whereas I feel like once they spot you, they should spot you. As I said, lots of features were added back from earlier games, including the ability to bribe groups to perform actions, such as blend in with you or enter combat. This required tokens, and this whole token system I felt was an interesting concept, although I did find it weird that for something so valuable I could spend 10 minutes robbing people and then basically be set for the rest of the game. I enjoyed using the tool belt to try and find new solutions to various problems, including personal screw-ups. I do feel like this tool wheel is much better than an action wheel. When I say action wheel, the combat wheel, where you have different combat selections. I much prefer having a tool wheel where I can feel like an assassin, not feel like I'm forced into combat. Overall, I'm very happy with the stealth provided, but again, it's coming off of a very low bar set by the previous few games, and I do feel like it can be improved in future entries. Again, we see in Assassin's Creed Shadows, it should be improved. As for Enkidu and Assassin's Focus, I barely used either. I think that the Assassin's Focus I maybe used 2 or 3 times, but for the most part I forgot about it, especially when I switched to not having a HUD. I was rather too busy trying to roleplay as an assassin and figure out guard paths and execute orders without being detected. This is not to say that Assassin's Creed Focus was a bad feature or that I completely hate it. I do think that some of the hate was overblown. If you don't like it, just don't use it. Sometimes, I remember one time I used it to finish an objective. I didn't even realize I was finishing the objective, but I accidentally killed the target I needed to using it. I was completely undetected and it felt too easy, so I stopped using it. When it comes to combat, what was interesting for me is that on the one hand, I felt it could be smoother and I felt like it could be more complicated, but I also felt like it was very nice to have it simplistic. It reminds me heavily of early Assassin's Creed games where you parry, kill, and repeat. Perhaps more weapon variety would improve the systems, but I'm not opposed to maintaining and developing these mechanics over, let's say, the demigod-like abilities from some of the other games. I enjoyed being squishy. It meant I had to be careful. However, quick tip, if you haven't played the game, the smoke bombs are the biggest get out of jail free card ever. You drop one of those, you use your hidden blade, you kill like 5 people and you walk away without having to swing a single sword. So my thoughts and conclusions on Assassin's Creed Mirage. I love the concept of Mirage more than I loved Mirage, if that makes sense. I want to see more of these sorts of settings with the robes and the density with parkour paths and stealth opportunities. I want more tools to use and I want a creed to report to. I love feeling a part of the Brotherhood. I want stories that focus on characters and what drives them, what haunts them, what inspires them. I want characters to make more than one appearance. Bayek. I want Ubisoft to focus on the core Assassin's Creed experience, not build another horse riding simulator. And for these reasons, I think Mirage should be the future of Assassin's Creed. And it's a shame it often seems to be forgotten or overshadowed by the RPG stories it follows and the one it will soon precede. So those are my thoughts for Assassin's Creed Mirage. I think I've made it pretty clear. I think it should be the model for future Assassin's Creed games. It just needs to be improved. Besides that, I would love to know your thoughts in the comments if you happen to have made it this far into the video. What do you think about Mirage? What do you think about upcoming Assassin's Creed games? Can Ubisoft save the franchise? Or do you think they've got it right with the RPG formula already? Once more, thank you very much for watching the first video of Taylor Talks. Let me know any areas for improvement for this video. It was my first video, so there's going to be lots to learn. Let me know what I can do better. Have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next one.
What spectacular courage! Hey. Your mentor could tell us what we want to know. He could spare...